The Court observes that since 12 December 2022, the connection between Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia via the Lachin corridor has been disrupted. The Court notes that a number of consequences have resulted from this situation and that the impact on those affected persists to this date. The information available to the Court indicates that the disruption on the Lachin corridor has impeded the transfer of persons of Armenian national and ethnic origin hospitalized in Nagorno-Karabakh to medical facilities in Armenia for urgent medical care. The evidence also indicates that there have been hindrances to the importation into Nagorno-Karabakh of essential goods, causing shortages of food, medicine, and other life-saving medical supplies. As the Court has noted previously, a prejudice can be considered as irreparable when the persons concerned are exposed to danger to health and life. The Court has further noted that restrictions on the importation and purchase of goods required for humanitarian needs, such as foodstuffs and medicines, including life-saving medicines, treatment for chronic disease or preventive care, and medical equipment, may have serious detrimental impact on the health and lives of individuals. At the public hearing that took place on 30 January 2023, the agent of Azerbaijan affirmed that his government, I quote, has and undertakes to continue to take all steps within its power to guarantee the safety of movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo along the Lachin Road, including continued and regular engagement with the ICRC, communicating with and facilitating communications with Russian peacekeepers, taking steps to engage with local residents in Karabakh, and, if Armenia finally decides that it is indeed its problem and agrees to come to the negotiating table, with Armenia as well." End of quote. The Court takes note of this statement. However, it does not remove entirely the imminent risk of irreparable prejudice caused by the disruption in movement along the Lachin corridor. In light of the aforementioned considerations, the Court concludes that the alleged disregard of rights deemed plausible by the Court may entail irreparable consequences to those rights, and that there is urgency, in the sense that there is a real and imminent risk that irreparable prejudice will be caused before the Court makes a final decision in the case. The Court thus concludes that the conditions for the indication of provisional measures are met. It is therefore necessary, pending its final decision, for the Court to indicate certain measures in order to protect the rights claimed by Armenia, as identified by the Court. The Court recalls that it has the power under the statute, when a request for provisional measures has been made, to indicate measures that are, in whole or in part, other than those requested. Article 75, paragraph 2 of the Rules of Court specifically refers to this power, which the Court has already exercised on several occasions in the past. The Court notes that the statement by the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, and President of the Russian Federation of 9 November 2020, also known as the Trilateral Statement, provides inter alia that the Lachin corridor, I quote, which will provide a connection between Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia, shall remain under the control of Russian Federation peacemaking forces, end of quote. The Trilateral Statement further states that, I quote, Azerbaijan shall guarantee the security of persons, vehicles, and cargo moving along the Lachin corridor in both directions, end of quote. In the present case, having considered the terms of the provisional measures requested by Armenia and the circumstances of this case, the Court finds that the measures to be indicated need not be identical to those requested. The Court concludes that Azerbaijan shall, pending the final decision in this case, and in accordance with its obligations under CERD, take all measures at its disposal to ensure unimpeded movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo along the Lachin corridor in both directions. The Court recalls that Armenia has requested it to indicate measures directing Azerbaijan to, I quote, cease its orchestration and support of the alleged protests blocking uninterrupted free movement along the Lachin corridor in both directions, end of quote. The Court considers that this further measure regarding movement along the Lachin corridor is not warranted. The Court further recalls that Armenia has requested it to take a measure directing Azerbaijan to, I quote, immediately fully restore and refrain from disrupting or impeding the provision of natural gas and other public utilities to Nagorno-Karabakh, end of quote. The court considers that Armenia has not placed before it sufficient evidence that Azerbaijan is disrupting the supply of natural gas and other utilities to the residents of Nagorno-Karabakh. Accordingly, such a measure is not warranted. The court notes that the provisional measures indicated in its order of 7 December 2021 remain in effect. It also reaffirms that its orders on provisional measures under Article 41 of the statute have binding effect and thus create international legal obligations for any party to whom the provisional measures are addressed. The court further reaffirms that the decision given in the present proceedings in no way prejudices the question of the jurisdiction of the court to deal with the merits of the case or any questions relating to the admissibility of the application or to the merits themselves. It leaves unaffected the right of the governments of Armenia and Azerbaijan to submit arguments in respect of those questions. I shall now read out the operative part of the order. Paragraph 67. For these reasons, the court, by 13 votes to 2, indicates the following provisional measure. The Republic of Azerbaijan shall, pending the final decision in the case and in accordance with its obligations under the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, take all measures at its disposal to ensure unimpeded movement of persons, vehicles, and cargo along the Lachin corridor in both directions. In favor, President Donahue, Vice President Gevorgyan, Judges Tomka, Abraham, Benuna, Shway, Robinson, Salam, Iwasawa, Nolte, Charlesworth, Brandt, Judge Ad hoc Dode. Against, Judge Youssef, Judge Ad hoc Keith.